Let's both of us stop trying to justify this whole thing and admit you're in danger.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? So let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
The reason this iconic scene from the television show Breaking Bad works so well is because of what I call the drama loop. And this is something every marketer and copywriter needs to have in their arsenal. I'm John Benson, and this is Sales Copy Secrets. Welcome back, and this is more copywriting tips from the television show Breaking Bad, the drama loop. Again, my voice is still recovering from bronchitis, so give me a little break on my inflections and stuff like that. We're going to give it our best shot. So if you are a copywriter, if you are looking for copywriting tips, tactics, techniques, or a marketer just looking to sell more stuff online, this is definitely going to come in handy for you, especially if it comes down to telling stories, man. I mean, telling stories is where it's at when it comes down to building longtime fans, longtime buyers, repeat buyers. So you will love this technique called the drama loop. I'll break it down for you today. Let's dive into it. So what is the drama loop? The drama loop is a framework for telling a story that includes 4 different stages. Each stage rotates to the other, and they often repeat for multiple loops. These stages are: what are the stakes? What did you try to do to solve the problem? After failing, what forced reactions took place? And what were the unintended consequences? Now today we're going to be taking a look at how the writers of Breaking Bad used the drama loop to create the scene that you saw when we opened the video, where the scene is quite terrifying and a little bit startling and all that. But you got to remember that the character starts off as this very mild-mannered, milquetoast, boring middle-aged guy, and over this television series transforms into a literal killer. So spoiler alert, don't watch this if you want to watch Breaking Bad or haven't seen it yet. Or if you can watch some of it. I'm not going to give the entire plot away or anything, but there will be some spoilers given away here. Just warning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through this scene, the 4 stages that create this scene, and they're created over multiple years. So don't worry, we're not going to go over the entire thing, but basics of how they created this drama loop that led Walter White into this position where he was being able to tell his wife, I'm the person that you need to be afraid of. I'm the person that everyone needs to be afraid of. I am the danger. You know, that's quite a bit of a gap from high school chemistry teacher, right? Well, how did they get there? Through a drama loop and through multiple drama loops on top of each other. And then at the same time, I'm going to parallel how I would create the same exact kind of drama loop for my own story. I'm going to go back to my weight loss story, which you're probably familiar with, and how I went from having a heart attack to writing a fitness book. So I'm going to parallel that, but because it's a drama loop, all of the drama stays contained. There's no good news in this. Okay, fortunately for my story, it ends with good news. Then I would go to the next stage of telling a story. Okay, we'll talk about that in another time. But the drama loop just keeps the audience in the suspenseful stage, and it most importantly, emphasizes how you messed up. Because if you don't talk about how you messed up while looking for the answer and how that led you to some bad situations, you're not going to tell an efficient story. So let's start with the first stage. What are the stakes? In order for any story to be effective, the stakes must be clearly defined. Now, in the case of Breaking Bad, the stakes are pretty clear. If you've seen the television show, Walter is dying of cancer. So he knows that unless he earns enough money through, in his case, illicit crime to take care of his family, they will be destitute. Now, this is not the best idea, of course, but it does make for some great writing and some great television. So the stakes can't get much higher than the survival of your family, but as you can imagine, the stakes repeat. This stage is constantly repeating, and by the time Walter shows up as his full alter ego in that opening scene called Heisenberg, the stakes have left from taking care of his family financially to protecting his family from imminent danger. He tries to deceive his wife into an illusion of a safety by assuring her that he is the danger, that he is the one who knocks on the door, that the knock that you don't want to get from the bad guy, right? Yet this is true. Okay, this is what makes the writing second to none in Breaking Bad, but it's also false because he knows he can't truly protect them, but he needs to sell himself and his family this illusion. Now let's see how I would use stake selling, in this case, knowing the stakes, in a video sales letter story. And we're going to use this for positive. No selling of math here for sure. All right. We're going to use this for positive. And again, this part of the story is all negative. It's all dire. It's all dark. The positive stuff comes at the very end. Now, to make my story more palatable to you, which is very important. It's an interesting story. You know, I was obese in my 20s and 30s, or by my early 30s, ended up with a heart attack, ended up with terrible things happening in my life, all because I just didn't know how to eat and didn't take care of myself. But that needs to be made something that you, as the viewer, can sink your teeth into, and that is the art of doing these story selling techniques like the drama loop. So in order to do that, I need to define the stakes, not just for me, what the stakes are for me, but what the stakes are for you. Let's take a look at how I do it right now. Listen, we both know weight loss is important. You've probably had that drilled into your head from everyone from your spouse to your doctor. I did too, and I didn't listen. Every year my waistline grew, and I still didn't listen. My blood pressure soared. I didn't listen. My blood labs looked like a minefield. I didn't listen. Then at 4 a.m., shortly after my 38th birthday, my heart stopped. The pain was unbearable. Minutes later, I was crammed into a care-flight helicopter, in and out of consciousness. Terror fused with anger and confusion. But now I was listening. And I'm asking you to listen as well, because that future can just as easily be yours. So that's pretty scary, right? I've defined the stakes very well, not just for me. Okay, so the stakes for me were all the horrible things that were happening, my labs and my waistline, etc. But then I said, this future can be yours. This future can be yours. I'm no different than you are. So I'm making sure that the reader is looped into the same stakes. Okay, now that we define the stakes, we move on to what did I do to solve the problem? Okay, first let's take a look at our Breaking Bad example and how Walter White set out to solve his problem, certainly not in the best of ways. It started off with a dumb but far more innocent idea of using his chemistry knowledge to manufacture meth, innocent compared to what he did later on. He lied to himself, saying that he distanced himself from the seedy aspects of selling the stuff. You know, I'm just going to make a superior and even safer product, he'd rationalize, because I'm such a genius chemist. This, of course, leads to one horrifying problem after another, and a situation where one problem is solved and it opens up two more. And that is the lesson for you here as a storyteller. I want you to think back to your first attempts to try to solve your problem and how you failed. You probably didn't succeed at first. You probably made plenty of mistakes. I know that I did. So here's an example out of my own story. The first diet I followed was one that my cardiologist gave me in the hospital. I was still in shock, so it wasn't until about a month later I realized, this is what I would eat if I wanted diabetes. I remember back to my nutrition classes in college and how doctors really know little to nothing about it, so I set out on my own. I devoured book after book on heart health and nutrition. And the first few diets I tried really were dismal failures. One had me eating 10% dietary fat, and my hair even started falling out. Now, this allows me to relate to my reader and to let them know I can screw up as good as the rest of them, definitely as good as you. I definitely have been there and I've definitely failed. But I'm also able to frame the diets that I don't like, the diets that I wouldn't publish, the diet that isn't mine, as something negative that happened to me. And I'm able to frame it within the story without saying, oh, you shouldn't try this 10% fat diet because it's bad. I'm telling it as a story. That way, when I reveal what did work, it will really make a much stronger impact. And speaking of impact, hey, how am I doing so far? Have I earned your like? Have I earned your trust? Have I earned your endless admiration? If any of those are true, pulverize that like button, smash the bell for notifications when my new videos drop, leave me a comment below, say something nice, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Let's get on with it. The third stage is called forced reactions, and this is one of the most interesting stages of them all, because bad ideas always lead to one or more forced reaction, a reaction that you normally wouldn't mentally or morally take. In Breaking Bad, Walt is forced into reactions that over time propel him down a path where resolve or return is simply impossible. His reactions to his horrible problem-solving skills, even when they work in the show, in the here and now, are often wrought with forced reactions that lead to betrayal, lies, endangerment of his family, and even murder. So when you're telling your story, I suggest that you have at least one forced reaction. That is, if you're brave enough to tell the entire truth. Here's how I'll tell mine. I became so obsessed with low-fat diets, even with my hair thinning and my skin getting more wrinkled, I went all the way to vegetarianism. And I stuck with this diet for a solid year. Then on my 1-year anniversary, I went to the doc for my blood work. I saw my cholesterol level drop well below 200. I was really psyched at first until I looked at the rest of my labs. My protective cholesterol was under 20, a big time red flag. My inflammatory markers, all indicators of potential heart attacks, were off the charts, and I was pre-diabetic. Clearly, there was more to this heart-healthy diet than just total cholesterol. But my reaction was not what you may think. I went on a bender, not an alcoholic bender, a junk food bender. I said, screw it. If I can't even be healthy eating like this, there's no hope for me. So my forced reaction was rebellion, a junk food rebellion. And while not smart, as most forced reactions are, they're mostly stupid, it's understandable. And it's something that the viewer can probably relate to themselves. And finally, we come to the fourth stage, and that is the unintended consequence. In Walter White's case, this was the complete withdrawal of his family. The very thing he began his journey trying to protect was being destroyed. In the scene shown at the start of this video, it's all bravado. He is the danger. He is the one who knocks. But this was short-lived. The full consequences ranged from death to the removal of all of his family's love and trust. And Walt ends up isolated and broken. Now, in a good news story, which is 99% of all sales letters, this would simply be the really bad part, is what I call it. The lowest part of your journey, the part where you hit rock bottom right before you discover something that changes everything. Now, in Breaking Bad, there's no such good part of the story because it's basically a Grecian tragedy. So in my own story, here's how the unintended consequences might read. My junk food bender went on for months. I gained 22 pounds. Every risk marker shot off the scale. I found myself right back where I started and terrified of yet another heart attack. Now, that's really it. Those are the 4 stages of the drama loop. I've created a fantastic drama loop. And now I have to get out of it now because in a movie it's one thing, or in a television show you can end in a tragedy. You don't want to do that in a VSL. So check out how I can pull out of the drama loop and into the next stage of the story with one simple sentence. Check this out. It was right about then that something happened that would change my life and the lives of over 200,000 men and women forever. Presto. The story has the turn, and the turn goes into the good news. I discovered this thing and it led to this diet. It led to this success. Boom, boom, boom. The story's been set up, however, with the drama loop. And because I was able to create that drama and that tension and that feeling of being able to relate to me as a human being, someone who failed, someone who did terrible things to his own self, fortunately not to other people, but to his own self, you as the viewer are much more engaged. You're much more enthralled, just as you would be watching a fantastic television show. So until my next video, I want you to do me a favor, look below, like, share, sub, smash that bell for notifications so you can be notified when my new videos drop. I am John Benson, and as always, I'm here to help make you unignorable.